Hello, I'm Bookface, and I put Nicolas Cage in the thumbnail, didn't I? Well, that's because I am once again talking about the myth of movie and the legend of literature, Dracula. Because who doesn't think of Nicolas Cage when they hear Dracula? Now, this is actually my second time talking about the real-life origins of the fictional vampire, mostly because when I used to make videos, I would have 3 of the same topic. But now I'm trying to put in a little more focus and keep my ADHD brain focused on one thing. I gotta be locked in.
Oh, what's that?
So I don't miss things. Now, even though this creature won't sound as close as something that's literally called the Dracula, our topic today is probably the closest we have to Dracula himself in mythology. This spooky season, we're discussing the terrifying creature known by the horrific name, Uber. Well, this utterly terrifying cease and desist letter that just says L insists that I should clarify that the Uber is a form of vampiric creature related to witches from Turkish myth. Now, despite its name not being particularly intimidating, unless you're trying to make a living wage, don't worry about that. It's junk mail. This name actually originates from Gaelic and Galatian words for overlord, witch, or vampire. And yeah, that checks out. This same linguistic origin is actually shared by the similar, but still mostly different, vampiric things like the upire, the upior, and the aupire.
And a whole lot of other ones that I honestly just do not have the time to get into right now, because there are so many.
Clearly, someone in myth needed to copy their friend's homework, but they did not change it enough. And yes, it's pretty annoying. Thanks for asking. What do you mean you didn't ask? Don't you backsass me. Know what creates these monstrous creatures? Well, anyone who died from violence, which is very generic, could potentially rise as an Uber. Which is pretty standard undead stuff. Slightly familiar, but a bit different, is the religious answer. But unlike most that say, baptize your kids, this one specifically targets foreigners of Turkey who are also not Muslim. And this seems weirdly specific to me, because does that mean locals who aren't Muslim are still good? Does that mean non-Muslims that aren't in Turkey are also good? I'm just kind of wondering where the specific judgment lies. Now, we know the Uber drinks blood, but the lingering question is, what the Uber eats?
Just give me a second. Alright, who's trying so hard to get a hold of me? Oh, come on, guys. Also, ow. One spinal realignment later.
Okay, so I suppose the actual lingering question here is what this has to do with Dracula. You see, while the Dracula connection is largely a linguistic thing, and probably led to Dracula, the Uber in mythology kind of is Dracula, at least as he was made a character.
So I'm realizing while editing this, that sentence makes almost no sense, even to me who said it and knows what I meant when I said it. What happened here? Basically, I'm saying that the origin of the myth of the Uber came about in the same way that the Dracula character was created. It's confusing, but mostly because I made it confusing.
The Uber in mythology follows the same thought process, with Vlad the Impaler being the inspiration, and him being considered so intimidating that he was turned into a monster-like figure, specifically a vampire. This normal historical figure was actually used as a boogeyman figure rather than the amorphous evil that it typically is.
You know, probably because of the whole impaling his enemies on giant wooden stakes and leaving them to bleed out to death over several days. That's pretty boogeyman worthy.
With this sort of boogeyman often being referred to as Uber Vlad. And they actually got a pretty good deal. Usually you've got to wait through 9 movies of dwindling quality before you finally reach the spacefaring Dracula X. Nah, they get Uber Drac right off the bat. Let's just hope they never had to sit through Drac Goes to Hell.
Always a disappointment.
And there's our Halloween special on the Uber. It's a weird one. It's fascinating how much nuance there is in the Dracula story from a purely mythological standpoint. And it's not even the end of it. I actually have another one of Nosferatu, which, you know, if you want to see that, put in the comments, I guess. This Halloween special is voted on through my Patreon, so if you want to say in what kind of videos I do, head to Patreon. You can sign up for as little as $1 a month, and, you know, I'd really appreciate it. With that, I'll see you next time. Bye!